Welcome back, and today we're going to be looking at the sadly underrated but still incredible PS Vita on the AYN Thor. So for Vita emulation, we're going to go to Obtainium. We're going to scroll down and we're going to grab Vita3K. Now that's installed, we're just going to open it up and we're going to go through the setup wizard because we will have to install some firmware. So as you can see here, we need to download the pre-install package, the main firmware and the font package. So we're going to download all three of those. So there's one. And then we're going to install that one. So make sure you give it access to the files. So we'll grab that one. We'll do it after install. And then we'll get the main firmware. So make sure it's set to your correct language and then we'll download that one as well. So this is the official firmware from the official Sony website. So we'll just download that update, or we'll press and hold, and then we'll download the link, and then we'll keep that. Once that's downloaded, we're going to just install that one as well. This one is PSV update, or updat. Get rid of that one. And finally, this one could be a little bit finicky. This is the font package. So I'm going to go to download. We'll wait to see if the redirect works. Sometimes this can be a little bit finicky. So the way I usually work around this is if you press and hold this link at the top and then you open it in a new tab, it will force it to download. So there we are, it's downloaded. It's a 56 meg file. It's also called PSP2 updat. So we'll install that. And there we go. And then we've got all three green ticks. So we'll open our library. So first, before we install any games, a few things about Vita3K. Now, it doesn't work like other emulators. For other emulators, you point it at a folder full of ROMs and you go, there's my games, and that's all you need to do. For Vita3K, we're actually going to install the games into Vita3K. So some of them might need additional license files. Usually, the ones you find online come with them, or if they don't, they're easy enough to track down. But for each package file you have, there will be a corresponding work.bin file. So we'll go through our settings and then I'll show you a demonstration. For module loading mode, we're going to leave this on automatic. This will basically mean that it will download of these whichever libraries it needs. For CPU, we'll leave that on. So for graphics, we'll leave the backend renderer on Vulkan. So when we come down to GPU driver, we can download the drivers. Although I do believe, so this takes us to the Kimchi versions. I do believe these are no longer maintained. It doesn't look like it's been updated in a good long while. So what we're going to do instead is, if you go to Obtainium, if you've already done this, then you can just use the drivers you've already downloaded. We've got these two. We've got Adreno Tools drivers, and you can click that link there to download those, or you've got the Mr. Purple Turnips. So either of those you can download, and then we'll just install them. So I've already got one here. There we go. So we'll use that one instead. For internal resolution upscaling, I'm going to set this to 2 times, which is close to 1080p. I'll leave anisotropic filtering on 1, and that's it for graphics. Audio, we're just going to leave because they usually have camera. We don't have a camera. System, you can enable the PlayStation TV mode if you like. I'm not too sure what the difference is. You can set your button assignment if you prefer to use the A button or the circle button, or you can use the cross or the X button. I don't know why people call it the cross. You can set your date format. I'm going to set it to good old DDMMYYYY and 24-hour time format. And then controls, we're going to map our controls. So we don't want on-screen controls, so we can get rid of those. And then for our connected controls, we can see the Odin controller, or the Thor controller is there. So these should be automatically mapped for you. However, we will have to resolve the issue with the face button. So you'll see here it says triangle, circle, cross. It's an X. Triangle, circle, X, square. But if I say triangle and I press the X button, it says square. If you want to leave it as is, you are more than welcome to. However, as a PlayStation diehard from the age of about 5, I know where these controls are like the back of my hand. So I've got triangle, circle, X, and square. So we're just going to hit our little save icon there, and then we're going to back out. Now, if we press our 3 little buttons at the side, we can view our trophy collection for when we play games. We can view our user management. You can create user profiles if you want to. I'm not going to bother. Or you can check for updates from within the app, but Obtainium will handle that for you. So now, for installing apps, we're going to press Install App, and you're going to see there's different file types. Now, from my understanding, the VPK files do not work very well or they don't work at all. So just focus on these PKG files. So I'm going to install the PKG file. So I'm going to I've got Persona 4. So you'll see that the PKG file is a bunch of gibberish, which is just the internal hash ID. So we'll open that up. It's going to ask you for the license key, which is your work.bin file or your zrif key if you've got that. I'm just going to press select bin and I'm going to grab the work.bin that was also in the folder. So you can delete the packages if you like. I advise keeping them until you've definitely checked that the game works. So let's boot it up. So you can see it's loading up. We've also got these annoying little pipeline compilation pop-ups that will show. So I'll show you how to remove those as well. But we'll just quickly load into the game. There's a lot of cutscenes and talking at the start of Persona games, but you can see the game is running, so that's what we want. So here we are, Persona has booted. So we're going to back out. So we're going to exit. So if we go to our settings and we go over to emulator, we're going to disable where it says show shader compilation hint. That's what basically explains the pipelines and things like that. What we're also going to cover is, because of the way that Vita3K works, it can be quite frustrating when you're working with other front ends. However, I've created a repository of shortcuts which you can use, and you can basically copy these to your Vita folder in your emulator folder, and that is what your front end is going to look at. So if you come to my GitHub, you can download this zip file. So you click into it and then press the little download arrow. And then we'll open it up and you can see in here, they're divided into regions. So I've got, I think it's the USA version I've got. So I want to scroll all the way down to P. So these weren't all created by me. They were originally created by someone else, but I converted the shortcuts into the proper PSV file. So if I open up through Persona 1, you can see PCSE00120. So that is the ID of the game. So if I go back to Vita3K, you can see PCSE00120. So that's the right one. You have to make sure that the ID that's in the text file matches what the game says. I'm going to go to my PS Vita folder, I'm going to press and hold, and I'm going to copy and just paste it. And that's it. So I have only tried these shortcuts in Emulation Station. I believe front ends like Cocoon don't yet have Vita support. I could be mistaken. I haven't yet tried it. But if you're using ESD, then this is how you'd use those shortcuts. So we've just booted into the game again, and you can see we no longer get these little pipeline pop-ups. So that was Vita3K and Vita emulation on the AYN Thor. If you like this video, I would appreciate a like and a subscribe. If you've got any questions, comments, feedback, requests, then please drop them below. Please do make sure you subscribe because I've got many, many more AYN Thor videos coming out over the coming months. So see you next time.